That Brock Lesnar doesn't give a fart about pro wrestling and is only in it for the money is a very common take. But it's not necessarily an accurate one, as while there are definitely nights when the Beast comes across like a man who'd rather be anywhere else in the world, he has delivered plenty of energized performances against the likes of Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, and loads more. Frankly, they tell a different story. They show that the man does care, just selectively. Yep, let's go with selectively. Generally speaking, wrestling is such a demanding sport that it's really quite easy to pinpoint the few performers who aren't grinding themselves to dust every single night. Now, the men and women that we're about to talk about here wouldn't be where they are today had they not cared deeply at one point in their careers, but now it's like they're on cruise control. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestlers who just don't care anymore. Number 10, EC3. It's hardly surprising that EC3 looks like a man who has totally given up. He barely makes it off WWE's bench these days, and when he does, it's usually to eat a quick pin, the poor bastard. While never the most flashy or fluid in-ring performer, that WWE haven't capitalised on EC3's charisma, ability to play a great heel character, and look is astounding, given what we know about Vince McMahon's preferences and biases. EC3 is nothing at this point, and it only takes a quick glance at his facial expressions on the few occasions he does make it to Raw, or his social media activity, to know that he's absolutely done with giving a damn. Number 9, Toki Maccabee. A legend of the banter and a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Toki Maccabee's dedication to getting by with as little effort as possible is seriously impressive. New Japan's Unchained Gorilla barely breaks a sweat. Depending on your stance, this either makes him the laziest man in wrestling or the smartest guy in the game. He only really works tags and multi-mans these days, and even then, the word works is very much a stretch, with Togi spending 95% of the bout on the outside before tagging in, grunting, cursing, hitting his 10-punch, and getting the hell out of there, all without taking a single bump. And on the handful of occasions where Maccabee is the biggest name on his team, Big Togi might hit his King Kong knee drop for the pin, but that's all you're getting from him. He also swears a lot, despite New Japan specifically telling wrestlers not to, and honestly, that just kind of makes him more of a legend. Number 8, Luke Harper. 2019 has told us that Luke Harper cares deeply about his pro wrestling career, but not necessarily about being a WWE superstar. April saw Luke banished from WWE's schedule after the company turned down a release request. He returned at Clash of Champions 2019 but hasn't mended fences with the company, and has now entered full-on IDGAF mode on social media, shooting on his lack of merch, accusing his employers of stealing a friend's t-shirt design, and now claiming that the promotion threatened to fire him for having the phrase "DMs are wide effing open" in his Twitter bio. Really, at this point, he's just winding down his contract. Number 7, Bad Luck Fale. Once upon a time, Bad Luck Fale was a credible monster heel in NJPW. His slow, bruising style contrasted with the rest of the roster, and he always looked solid in matches with the likes of Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kazuchika Okada. In fact, at one point, Fale was effective and believable enough to take the IWGP IC title from Shinsuke Nakamura. He wasn't pretty, but he filled the role, and it worked. Today's Rogue General doesn't even deliver against the Okadas of the world anymore. Fale is 37 years old, close to 350 pounds build, and spends much of his time running the Fale Dojo in New Zealand. That's his future, so you can understand why the big man might choose to pour more energy into that than into New Japan, where he's now a bit part player between the ropes. Number 6, The Revival. The Revival's story is very similar to Luke Harper's in that they requested their WWE releases earlier this year, got denied, and then fell victim to the injury extension clause, with Dash Wilder getting an extra couple of months added to his deal. But unlike Harper, Dash and Dawson weren't exiled. The The Revival have had a steady presence on TV since trying to walk out. They've been Raw or SmackDown Tag Team Champions 3 times this year, and while none of their reigns have really been anything special, this is probably the company's idea of trying to convince them to stay around. But that might be a hard sell after Usi Hot. For proof of their impressively low IDGAF level, refer to them printing #FTR on their tights, their constant subtweets, them continuing to call out the Lucha Brothers and Young Bucks, and pretty much everything else they've done since they tried to quit. They'll be out of here before you know it. Number 5. John Cena. At this stage of his career, John Cena has very much entered his own banter era. Free of the stresses of being the face of WWE, he no longer has to give a damn. All his current role needs for him to do is show up once in a blue moon, run a couple of signature spots, pop the crowd, and get the hell out of there. Nothing more, nothing less. The surest sign of Cena's descent into banterdom came when, after years of teasing his 6th move of doom, the face that runs the place unleashed the bloody lightning fist. The bloody lightning fist. Really, it's a tremendous bait and switch from Cena to make people think that he was going to evolve, that he was going to grow, that he was going to add some new, spectacular move, and then to wheel out a goofy punch at Super Showdown. Well, that's just top crack. God bless John Cena for his dedication to it. Number 4. Rob Van Dam. You might argue that Big Rob never gave a Van Dam in the first place, though that would do his career a great disservice. It's hard to argue with a resume that boasts world championships in WWE, TNA, and a host of other accolades. But regardless, RVD has always come off like the chillest guy in the room. We'll leave it to you, dear viewer, to speculate on the reasons behind that, but look, this guy's catchphrase used to be RVD 420 just smoked your ass. His recreational habits aren't exactly a secret. At 48 years old, Van Dam returned to Impact Wrestling earlier this year and is now seemingly re-established as an active roster member. Still, like many of the other wrestlers on this list, a quick glance at his life away from the ring reveals a guy more concerned with chilling out, enjoying life, and tweeting hand bras than anything else. Number 3. Asuka. Asuka used to be a thing of fear. And while her defeat to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania 34 could have been redeemed, WWE has now diminished her to the point that she's as unspecial as any other mid-carder on the roster. I mean, yeah, she's a women's tag team champion, but when has the promotion ever treated those belts with any great regard? As a top-tier headliner, unfortunately, Asuka is done. It therefore shouldn't come as a huge surprise that the Empress of Tomorrow looks a lot happier screwing around with her new YouTube channel, Kana-chan TV, than she does performing WWE's scripted nonsense. Let's just hope this passion project proves more fulfilling than the past year on the main roster. Number 2. Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura has delivered electric performances in the past. This is very true. Old New Japan bouts with Kota Ibushi, AJ Styles, and others still stand among the most impressive in this glittering era of that promotion. In big match situations, Shinsuke was a beast. But in smaller matches, even back in New Japan, nobody took it easier. Unimportant tags and 6-mans would see him stand on the apron coasting on charisma. That's fine, as it allowed him to preserve his injury-ravaged body for matches that mattered, but in WWE, it's basically all he does now, even in singles matches. Nakamura's WWE run peaked with his very first match against Sami Zayn, and that was back in April 2016. He has touched greatness on a number of occasions since then, but never to the same level, and again, this is fine, as he's old and understands that he can get by on personality. It just isn't much fun to watch a lot of the time. Shinsuke Nakamura sees WWE as a vacation. He's here to mail it in so he can enjoy a life of surfing the Floridian coastline, and more power to him. Number 1. Randy Orton. Call him lazy, call him a guy who has never fulfilled his true potential, call him an asshole on account of the vile backstage stories that blighted his early career. Say he's boring and criticize his rest hold heavy style. Do all of these things and more until your heart's content, because Randy Orton really doesn't give a single hoot about any of that. The man probably never has, although it's particularly true in 2019 when he's hitting gaming streams piss drunk to slur obscenities and praise WWE's direct competition and getting RKO'd by his wife on a boat, as well as tweeting all kinds of other madness. In his employer's eyes, Orton has earned the right to be this way. He's a company golden boy, a 13-time world champion, a future Hall of Famer, and one of the most decorated performers in WWE history. Thus, he can really get away with just not giving a damn. The Viper is this era's Kevin Nash, squeezing as much juice with as little effort as possible. So that's our list, but what do you guys think, and can you think of any other wrestlers who just don't give a hoot? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and then you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE, and you can tell me how wrong I am at Andy H. Murray on Twitter. Goodbye.